Give your sobriety room to grow. This is a very important concept, especially when you're starting out in sobriety. You want to not take on a bunch of other tasks and a bunch of other projects per se. All right. Now, I know this may sound counterintuitive to what I've advised in the past, which is to seek a purpose, right? You've got to have some kind of purpose to kill the poison, something to focus on outside of your addiction. But the fact of the matter is, one of the problems that you'll run into is when you first start off in sobriety, you're going to start getting confident as you gain more days, weeks. You'll get more confident in your sobriety. You'll start to see that you can maintain some consistency in your sobriety, that it is possible. You'll start to take on what they call the pink cloud, where you feel better because you're no longer drinking. You're no longer dealing with the physical maladies that can come from overconsumption of alcohol. You're thinking clearer. Your skin's clearing up. You're starting to look better. All of these things are going to come as a result of your sobriety. The more you prolong it and the more you sustain it. But this can also increase your confidence, which is a great thing. The problem is a lot of people, and I was guilty of this as well, get overconfident a little too early and start trying to fix everything in our lives. So I want to give you a few things to think about to help you keep your sobriety in its proper perspective, which is this: to keep sobriety first. And in order to do that, you've got to give it room to grow. So there are a few things that you want to remember. One, don't try to take on other tasks. Like I said, don't try to make too many new changes. You know, I meet people who they start off in sobriety and then now they want to become vegan. They want to stop eating meat. They've been eating it all their life, but they figure, hey, I stopped drinking alcohol. I can stop eating meat and eating healthier. I can cut sugar completely out of my life. I can, stop. I can work on my, addiction to, candy or whatever. All these other things, they want to add on to the benefits that they're getting from sobriety. The problem is you will suffer burnout if you do that. You will suffer burnout, and taking on all of these other challenges and these other changes and improvements, which are well and fine and good, but they have their place. Right now, you're working on your sobriety. And like I said, sobriety comes first. All of those other improvements are going to be almost impossible to take care of if you have an addiction. That needs to be your focus. That needs to be where, what you are concentrating on and committed to wholeheartedly before you start worrying about all of these other changes. And remember that when you prioritize these changes, they all come behind your sobriety. Okay? You don't want to burn out. You don't want to suffer too many failures as you try to take on all kind of new changes and tasks, because then that'll affect how you're viewing your sobriety, your will, and your ability to maintain your sobriety. You could possibly suffer a decline in confidence if, you say, well, I'm going to try and lose 100 pounds this month because I've been sober for 3 weeks. You don't want to do that. You also don't want to share your time in sobriety with toxic people, enemies of your sobriety. Talking to people, trying to convince them as to why you stopped drinking. You're going to have a couple of past drinking buddies who are going to try and get you into these long conversations about how, why, what's your reasoning, why you didn't try moderation. These are conversations you don't even need to have because you've already made your decision. You've made your decision that sobriety comes first. Moderation isn't part of your plan. And you need to be in a mental state to sustain that sobriety, especially while you're learning in your sobriety, which is what needs to take place early on. All right. So you don't want to share your time with toxic people, people who are enemies of your sobriety. All right. You don't want to go out there trying to solve everybody else's issues. Like other addicts or other alcoholics may come to you and say, well, you've been sober for a whole month. I haven't been able to go 30 days. How did you do it? It's cool to give them a couple pointers here and there and then leave it alone. But you don't want to you don't want to be so arrogant as to think that you can solve the world's problems because you've been sober for 4 weeks. That's a great thing, but you want to focus on building up and keep going. Don't worry about becoming a recovery coach tomorrow. Worry about really making sobriety a natural part of your life and existence, a function, okay, of your existence before you start advising other people or really investing a whole lot of time into solving other people's problems. You cannot share your sobriety with other people's problems because you cannot focus on your sobriety. Your sobriety cannot grow and fight at the same time. So that's what you want to think about as well. All right. So you want to avoid sharing your sobriety with other struggles, right? You've picked your struggle. It's killing this addiction. And you also don't want to share your sobriety with people who are going to play with it, people who are going to challenge it, people who are going to be an enemy of it. Cut them off immediately. The people you have to deal with that are enemies of your sobriety, you deal with them as you have to. The second you don't have to, be gone, whether it's co-workers or whoever, family members you can't avoid in your household. But as far as people that you can avoid them, period, until you get your sobriety in order, until it's grown strong enough to where you know it's lasting. And trust me, you'll know when that is. It'll be further down the line. It's going to be longer than 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It may even be a couple of years. For me, I didn't tell anybody I stopped drinking for the first year of my sobriety, which I wouldn't suggest for everybody. But for me, that's what helped work for me, not getting in those long discussions. All right. So I just wanted to give you something to think about. Give your sobriety room to grow. And in order to do that, you've got to create boundaries around your sobriety. Okay, that means you don't share your sobriety with other struggles. You don't take on a bunch of other changes at the same time. They need to be out of the way so you can focus on this major change, which is an improvement in your life. Don't share your sobriety with toxic people, enemies of your sobriety, conversations, being around people that are downers, being around people that have given up. Don't hang with those people as well. All right. Your sobriety is like a child. It's like a seed. The younger it is, the more you need to be focused on it and the more careful you need to be as to who you keep around you and around it. All right. So I just wanted to give that to you, something to think about. Give your sobriety room to grow, and all of those other struggles and things you want to take in will fall in line after you've gotten that kind of in order. All right. Hope you have a great day. Hope it gives you something to think about. And until next time, peace.